Joining us also now is TV Today's consulting editor Rajdeep Sardesai, and I want Rajdeep your thoughts at the top on the big message that according to you the Prime Minister is sending through his first big cabinet expansion.
The word I'm going to use, Rahul, is balance. I think what the Prime Minister is trying to do is achieve a balance which I don't think his first cabinet really did. Balance in terms of regional representation, balance in terms of caste representation, balance in terms of restoring a stronger element of meritocracy also at one level, balance in terms of not overburdening a few individuals with too many portfolios. I think that's the word I would use for the manner in which the Prime Minister seems to have gone. It's almost the Congressification in a sense of the BJP in a way, because you've got to accommodate people from Bihar because there are elections there next year. You want to accommodate someone from Bengal because that's a state you're going to look at closely. You need to have a strong Bhumiyar face. You need to have a strong Yadav face. Also there's a strong Hindutva representation, if I may call it that. Those who are close to the RSS are also getting their space in this cabinet reshuffle. And of course meritocracy, because I think Manohar Parrikar coming from Goa based on his track record, and it also shows the talent deficit, Rahul, that exists perhaps among the MPs at the centre, that you need to draw in the Goa Chief Minister for one of your top portfolios. So I think it's balance which the Prime Minister is trying to achieve, of a kind that he perhaps could not in that first expansion, when the likes of Prakash Javadekar got 3 portfolios, Arun Jaitley got 2, and even a Nirmala Sitharaman was given 2 portfolios.
The Prime Minister's original credo was minimum government, maximum governance. What happens when you expand a 46-member cabinet, include 22 new ministers? We had Sanjay Jha saying this is no longer minimum government.
I think Sanjay Jha should have taken my words and said this is the Congressification of the BJP. But it's not just that, Rahul. The fact is, under the rules, I'm just told, it's 15% of the strength of the House of Peoples, which effectively comes to 67 or 68 ministers. So this is the limit of your maximum government. You can't stretch it beyond that. But let's be fair to the Prime Minister. I think he's also now recognizing it's easier to give slogans when you are in the opposition. Once you're in government, you have to start accommodating people. You have to start ensuring that there is this balance between Bihar. Rajasthan, for example, Rahul, you will recall, in the first cabinet was virtually not given any minister. Then at the last minute you had to bring in one face. That's right, when Vasundhara Raje virtually protested. Now you've got Rajasthan being represented. You've got a strong representation from Bihar. So I think the Prime Minister is realizing that it's nice to say minimum government, maximum governance. At the end of the day in this country, it's about maximum government. Hopefully that will also lead in this case to maximum governance.
Okay, Jyoti, what are you making of the kind of faces that are being brought in? There is a Jayant Sinha, Harvard educated MBA. There is Manohar Parrikar, who's coming in as well on the back of his work as Chief Minister Gujarat. Then there is Sadhvi Jyoti being brought in as well. So it cuts across the entire spectrum. What do you make of the kind of faces that are being picked?
I think that is that's very, very interesting. The fact that there is JP Nadda on the one hand, who's a confidant of Narendra Modi. You remember he was tipped to be party president, but then Amit Shah became party president. And then you have somebody like Sadhvi Jyoti, who's clearly, we don't even know who she is, but she's close to the RSS. She's a Sadhvi. And then on the other hand, you have, you just said there is Jayant Sinha, who's Yashwant Sinha's son, Harvard educated, this posh young man or posh middle-aged young man who must be very, very articulate. And on the other hand, you have Vijay Sapla from Punjab, a Dalit leader, a self-made man. He was a very, very poor man and has sort of went to the Gulf to make his money, to make himself something, and has returned back to Punjab as a political person. So I think this wide variety of people is actually very, very interesting. It brings character, it brings strength, it brings a much wider flavor to the BJP government. And we of course haven't spoken yet about Andhra Pradesh, about Chandrababu Naidu's party, the TDP, where you have Mr. Chaudhary, who is a business person. So I think it's an interesting government, and hopefully much more interesting.
No, but what's interesting, Javed, is that the Prime Minister called up Chandrababu Naidu and asked him to depute one extra representative from the TDP. But in the case of the Shiv Sena, he had a pick, he had a choice. He wanted Suresh Prabhu on his team, and that didn't particularly go down well with Uddhav Thackeray, who said that you can take him on a BJP berth, but he's not the person I'm sending to your cabinet. So the Prime Minister there completely hands off when it came to the TDP, but showing a preference for Suresh Prabhu when it came to the Shiv Sena.
Yes, and that is symptomatic of the relationship between the Sena and the BJP these days. You know, Rahul, you were making this point about meritocracy. You know, there's too much, I think we'll need to wait and see these guys perform before we can pass verdict on that. There's some people like Manohar Parrikar, then there's Jayant Sinha, maybe Rajvardhan Rathod. These people quicken the pulse. Suresh Prabhu, we are told, will be inducted. But what about the others? Ramkirpal Yadav. What does Sadhvi Jyoti bring to the table? I don't know. I mean, I'm from UP and I've covered that state for several years. She's an MP from my state. I can't think of anything I can, at this moment in time, say in favor of her. You know, she doesn't quicken my pulse as far as merit is concerned. So it's a mismatch.
You want your pulse to be quickened by ministers, Javed. You're looking for the wrong place to quicken your pulse.
Then let's not overemphasize this merit part.
No, I'll tell you the merit part. On the merit part, Javed, just a minute. The merit part, I think, will come, Rahul, Javed, when, let's say, the reshuffle in terms of portfolios takes place. Is, for example, the Prime Minister going to take away railways from a Sadanand Gowda, who apparently, from all indications, has not been found up to the job? Will the Prime Minister raise questions over Smriti Irani? There are questions within the party, if you ask, whether she is the right person for the HRD ministry. She may be good for INB, but is she right for HRD is a question which is being asked. I think that's when merit will come in. At the moment, let's be fair to the Prime Minister, he has a limited pool to choose from, whether it's from Uttar Pradesh or any other state.
Rajit,
who are the outstanding figures? Then he should have brought in lateral entrants, like a Suresh Prabhu, like an Arun Shauri, who's not even spoken about anymore.
No, but Suresh Prabhu, I think Suresh Prabhu is a very, very interesting person that he's brought in. You remember Suresh Prabhu in Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government was the power minister, and he completely revamped the power sector. The fact that he's from the Shiv Sena, until a few days ago, Suresh Prabhu did not want to become a cabinet minister. He was very happy being an advisor, precisely because of this tension between the Shiv Sena and the BJP. But Narendra Modi has persuaded him, and he will become a power. He will become a cabinet minister.
Told me Suresh Prabhu is hardly a Sainik any longer, and neither does he think of himself as much of a Sainik.
Rahul, the point
is he becoming a cabinet minister? Or is he getting cabinet rank?
No,
he's being sworn in as a cabinet minister.
He's being sworn in as a cabinet minister.
He's being sworn in as a cabinet minister. Okay. He will get a portfolio by this evening, but he is also going to Australia as the Prime Minister's Sherpa, which is his representative for the G20 meeting. When he comes back, that he will take charge of his new ministry.
Sunil Alag, Javed saying there aren't enough technocrats. Is that a fair comment? Do you think, given
no, the point, Rahul,
the political
constraints, if I can interrupt, is I think it's too early to pass judgment on the merit or the lack of it. We need to see the portfolios, as Rajdeep was saying, and we also need to give them some time to perform. Just prima facie reading this list doesn't quicken my pulse on that score.
There are two people we know at least that the Prime Minister is not very happy with. There's Radha Mohan Singh, the Agriculture Minister. The Prime Minister told someone that he's not being able to read his cabinet papers. He's not coming to the cabinet adequately prepared. Sadanand Gowda hasn't really been able to live up to the structural reform expectations that the Prime Minister had. Sunil, would you like to see these ministers being shifted around on the basis of their work in the first 5 months? Or do you think 5 months is way too little for the Prime Minister to be able to assess whether or not someone should stay or go?
You know, I've said in the beginning there are about 10 or 20% of being political. I don't like Giriraj Singh coming in because he's not the kind of person that you should have brought into the ministerial positions. But there's been pressure from Bihar, and you can relate that to being a political appointment in needing Bihar. But look, as far as he's concerned, from what I have been able to gather, he's given everybody a year. I don't think he's going to shift the ministers right now. He's told them perform for 12 months, and those who will not perform will be reshuffled. I don't think they will be asked to go. He probably will do that. You're not in your area of strength, let me put you into some area where you'll be able to demonstrate. And I agree with Javed that there are a whole lot of new faces that we are unable to assess. His objective is, if you bring in the younger new faces who are ready to perform, will come with a certain passion, and that's what's going to drive this country. Look at what has happened to Obama. The Democrats have lost every possible seat only because of the fact that they were not able to bring in the new guys. Obama alone cannot do it, so he's bringing in new people. And as far as Mr. Sanjay Jha is concerned, he's raised a huge number of questions. All I want to tell him is that Congress is history, and as far as Mr. Modi is concerned, he's making history. He's bringing in new people. He's bringing in the younger generation.
Giriraj Singh, is that a stick you'll try and beat the Prime Minister with, that a lot of money was recovered from his residence recently? He's been in the eye of the storm. He made some very controversial comments about the minorities also in India. He's been a minister though. He was animal husbandry minister in the Nitish Kumar government. He's a Bhumihar face from Bihar. He's been one of the strongest advocates of Modi in Bihar long before Modi was projected as the party's prime ministerial face. But he brings controversy with him to office.
Well, Rahul, the truth is that goes to manifest as to what a serious talent deficit there is in the Bharatiya Janata Party. I mean, these are what I call as desperate measures in desperate times. This is the same Prime Minister who went to town on a minimum government, and clearly as he's expanding, he's including all kinds of, highly dubious elements into his party. But the bottom line is, I don't quite care for what Mr. Alag and other people say. This is an underperforming government. And I'll give you one simple example. Take the economy. Rahul, jobs are down 20%, industrial growth is sluggish, and this is happening at a time when this government has the unique advantage of an economic tailwind of falling global oil prices. So, the reality is that at this point of time, this government, beyond the hype, hoopla, the publicity and the PR, has got to deliver. I think Mr. Modi recognizes that this prolonged honeymoon is perhaps going to taper out sooner rather than later. I know they have won 2 state elections, but they are not an endorsement on the success of this government in Delhi. They were on account of local issues and the fact that they won an overwhelming victory in 2014 May. So I think the bottom line is the people of this country are watching. And I think when it comes to governance, I still believe this government is woefully short. Whether it's a CIC, Lokpal, CBC, independent CBI, there is nothing that this government can feel
if you're on a roll, the fact is, when we talk of meritocracy, please look at your, the problem is, as I call it, the congressification to an extent of the BJP, because you mastered the art of a Shishram Ola. I mean, he could barely walk to parliament, you made him a minister. Look at the kind of people your party made ministers over the years and the reasons why they were made ministers. Many of them had little to do with merit. That's the nature of cabinets in this country. Cabinets are a process of accommodation. At least this Prime Minister, the one thing he seems to be doing in key portfolios, the important portfolios, seems to be looking for people of merit. Then in and around that, he seems to be falling for the trap that every Prime Minister or every government falls for, where you have to accommodate various individuals. But let's be clear, the Congress, for all the talent pool that it had, also gave a lot of non-meritorious people ministerships. And I'm giving Shishram Ola only as one example. I can give you several more of congressmen, particularly MOSs, who simply were there to fill in the blanks. So let's not say that the Congress did something and the BJP hasn't. It is the congressification slowly of the BJP. It's not about the Congress being any different to what the BJP does. And at least, as I keep maintaining, the Prime Minister in key portfolios is looking for people of talent.
Well, Rajdeep, in very short, let me try and respond to you. I think I'm not going to comment on, the merit or the demerit of the decisions taken in the past. That's already part of history and posterity. The truth is that, yes, you cannot deny that we had a huge challenge in terms of a coalition that we had to run. This government doesn't have those pressures at all. But, end of day, if the current cabinet itself has 30% people with a criminal antecedent, and you have, almost 30% of BJP MPs who have got all kinds of controversial track record, that the Prime Minister has got a party that is chosen by him.
That's not true.
That has elements that you can't rely on.
Sanjay, I don't think you should tell something to our audience which is not true, that 30% have criminal records. That's not true. Let's stick to the facts. The facts quite simply are that whether it's Congress or BJP, there has been a talent deficit in our MPs, which is why you have to draw in for lateral talent. I mean, it's good if Suresh Prabhu is being drawn in from the outside, and we have to wait whether he'll get cabinet rank or actually become a part of the swearing in. But the fact is, it's good that he's going to play a role in this government. Manohar Parrikar is a chief minister who has, by all accounts, done a fine job. So he's being brought to Delhi and rewarded. So that's a good sign. I mean, let's be clear. It's not Congress versus BJP. It's the way cabinets are made in this country. It would be good if we could bring in more lateral entrants. But once you have 282 MP party, everyone wants to be a minister. That's the reality. Your party had to face it. Narendra Modi ji is having to face it. And I think that Mr. Sunil Alag also should realize that when he says Giriraj Singh, why is he being made? It's a typical Mumbai view, Mr. Sunil Alag. Sitting in Mumbai, the fact is Giriraj Singh gets votes. No. A lot of the English-speaking politicians that you would like to see don't get votes. They get your support because you endorse a corporate view of India.
No, Rajdeep, How
No,
can
Sunil,
how
this is
can
a
you
property
overlook
of
the
India.
fact that 1.5 crores unaccounted money was found in his
It
house?
is not.
Forget
it is not
controversial
the corporate
statements.
view.
A lot of
not the corporate view.
politicians
I
like this.
was saying my personal view is people like Giriraj Singh,
Yes,
who don't have a good track record, are the only ones that have come in for. I said that in the beginning so that nobody could criticize me.
No, the reason I'm saying is, Mr. Alep,
only like that.
Mr. Alep, you need to get a reality check. Narendra Modi is giving you a reality check that Giriraj Singh wins votes. Giriraj Singh is an aggressive junior voice who has taken on Nitish Kumar. You may not like him, which is great, but Mr. Modi realizes he has to compromise. As Prime Minister, he has had to compromise.
I'm saying, but Rajdeep, you were not there when I said there would be 10 or 15% as opposed to 50% of compromises, which was there in the earlier government. Right now, it is 75% on merit, on good guys, on honesty and performance. There's only 15 or 20%, which is a far lower figure for compromising. I agree with you. But it is not the 50-50 that the Congress.
Let's for a moment focus on Manohar Parrikar coming in as the new defense minister, and I want Manu Pabi to lay out the challenges for the new minister and the kind of work that Arun Jaitley has done, because Sunil Alak was saying he's done a great job because he had both finance and defense together.
Yes.
He was able to clear a lot of projects. The reality is the Army and the Navy and the Air Force still feel there are several projects that have been pending for several years which Manohar Parrikar will need to take a call on.
Correct. Arun Jaitley, during his 5 months as Defence and Finance Minister, has learned a lot about the Defence Ministry. He knows what the requirements are, what their operational needs are. But on terms of work done, I would seriously say that he's still not able to push through a lot of deals. There has been a lot of noise about what he's done, but you have not seen a signing. You have not seen some of those critical procurements actually go through. The accident of the Navy.
And then there's the big Rafale deal.
The big
which
Rafale deal is still
Manohar Parrikar will need to take a call on.
And he's a
huge amounts of pressure on the government to cancel that deal and equal amount of pressure to push ahead with that deal.
Correct, and plus pressure to find money to actually buy those planes. They're really expensive. So he has to take those hard decisions. Jaitley has been able to streamline things a bit, but the big decisions on the ministry have still not been taken on reforms of defense.
The big criticism with St. Anthony was that while he was honest, he wouldn't take decisions. At the whiff of a controversy, he'd scrap the whole deal. Will Parrikar be different?
You know, you and Manu probably know more about defense, but the sense I get, which interests me, is that every time now you want a defense minister, what is the quality you want is integrity. What does that show? That means you're worried that every defense minister is on the take in the past. So, you know, you're and it appears that in the first cabinet, you couldn't find someone. Or Mr. Modi didn't trust anyone enough to make them defense minister, so you made Mr. Jaitley both defense and finance.
Not only defense minister, Rajdeep, bureaucrats allegedly in the defense ministry as well as people in the armed forces.
So what does that say?
Are supposedly on the take.
So what does that say about defense procurement? So therefore poor Mr. Anthony was put there because he was seen as honest. Now you will say, was he decisive? So now you're looking for a decisive plus an honest minister, which in India is very difficult to find. So now you've gone and brought in Mr. Parrikar, who's come in very reluctantly. Let's be clear, he's come kicking and screaming.
He doesn't want to leave Goa.
He's a good Goan like me. None of us want to be in Delhi. Give us half a chance, we want to be by the beaches of Goa. He's like, no, but the fact is...
Rajdeep is in Maharashtra.
No. The fact is that Mr. Parrikar did not want to come. He was forced into bring. Now you're forcing someone to become the defense minister. A, because you say the two qualities you need are decisiveness and you need integrity. Does he have integrity? Yes, it would appear. Is he going to be decisive when it comes to these deals? That's a big question mark.
He's been hugely decisive in Goa, but then the sums of money involved, what's at stake is much lesser. Now when you've got the French pushing you, you've got a counter pressure from the Brits and from the Germans. That's a whole different level of decisiveness that Manohar Parrikar will have to enter for him to be a successful defense minister. Just being honest is clearly not enough. Under St. Anthony, under A.K. Antony, the Indian defense purchase procurement suffered immensely, and we're still suffering the consequences of that. We're slipping into a quick break. When we come back, we'll take you live across Rashtrapati Bhavan. We will start getting the first set of images. Several people have already started entering. The cabinet reshuffle and the expansion starts in just about 10 minutes from now. You're watching our continuing coverage.